You're now kicking it with Brother Smalls. Happy Friday, everybody. And we have a great show on deck for you. We have Sheryl Hatwood. She's a playwright, producer, director, and founder and president of the Endless Voice Productions, LLC. She's the creator of the annual A Woman's Worth Awards and a Woman in Business events. She has been interviewed by Aspire TV, Rolling Out, Sheen, Black Westchester Magazine, Unapologetically Us, and many other publications. She's an advocate spreading awareness on domestic abuse. She's an active board member of the Manor Club of Pelham, the first African-American woman to serve on the board in 122 years. She's just an amazingly gifted person, just a beautiful person. And I'm so glad she's here kicking it with Brother Smalls. Sheryl, how are you?
I am doing well. I'm better than better. Better than better. So
better than better. Well, thank you so much for taking out the time. And again, I have to ask you, how are you guys doing with this COVID-19 situation? And yeah.
We are doing we're doing good. I think in the beginning I considered it a nuisance. I didn't take it as serious as I should, but when it hit close to home, I was jolted into reality. So we made the adjustments, and it's actually has been exactly what I needed. I didn't know that 2020 was going to be like this. I had my own plans, but this is the 2020 that I needed. And this was my 2020 moment, so I can reset and just get grounded and refocused. And family is just like reprioritized.
I'm hearing that more and more, that people, obviously didn't have this on their docket, right? Mm-hmm. But again, the time, using the time to kind of recalibrate and recognize what's important and kind of develop those relationships that are important in their lives. How's it impacted your business?
Well, my business has been impacted. The Women's Worth Awards was planned on March of this year, just at the height of this pandemic, and I had to cancel it. So with hesitation, I did, but I understand that it was, lost investment is nothing compared to loss of life that we incurred. But that was my greatest loss, because I invested so much into it. It was supposed to be such a spectacular show, but God has another plan. So I'm not even worried about that. It's helped me to refocus, and I'm working on my writing more. So I use every negative and try and find the lesson and move it forward. I don't try and get stuck in my feelings or emotions, and I just keep it moving. It's agility.
No, tell us about. You're you have the Endless Voice Productions. Why Endless Voice Productions? I mean, the name is interesting to me. And then, what's the mission of Endless Voice?
Okay, so that's a really good question. The Endless Voice. I finally found my voice. So I wanted something that symbolizes what I want to do, what I wanted the company to stand for, which was to awaken, inspire, and embolden. And I wanted it to stand. Voice to me does not only mean oral. It's in art, and I play, I dance, I sing. People draw. There's different ways that art interprets motions, and I can touch so many people incorporating various forms of art. So in that way, the voice is endless in producing the experience that I'm looking to do.
Got it. It's interesting because I'm going to play a clip. I'm just going to see if I'm going to roll it up here, and then we can talk about it.
Sure.
Hold on 1 second. Do you see that?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. You know what? You hear it though.
I can hear it.
You can hear it, but you know what it is. I am going to do that again, because you know what I have to do? I have to share. I have to share my screen. That's what I need to do first, right? I got to share the screen. Then I need to plug this here and then say share. And then, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, okay.
Technology.
Technology, here we go.
Wouldn't even recognize who put me in this place. I wouldn't even recognize time has been so cruel. I couldn't blame me, but I blame you. I
Hmm.
Yeah. Let me go back here. How do I show? Let me put this back here. Yes. And stop share. Got it. Now, I played that because a couple years back I saw the play, and the play is called Wounded Soul. And tell us about that play.
Well, The Wounded Soul was birthed from a poem I wrote when I was 16. And it was just about, it was reflecting on where my thoughts my own or what I've been told they're supposed to be. And it's just a reflective look. It was a point in my life where I didn't know who I was. And I wrote that and I handed it in to the teacher, and they phoned my parents and said, this girl's gonna commit suicide. You need to come to the school. They came and they thought my parents thought I was okay, but I didn't realize I was using writing at that time as a release from my pain. So this poem I've had since I was 16. So I thought I would use it as a focal point to expound on for the title of the play. And the play is about my life story. It tells about all the abuses I've suffered, what I've gone through, what I've came through, and basically that my life is not what it should have been. I'm but for the grace of God.
No, it was a powerful play, and just going there, you just changed. Quite honestly, you were just so impacted by the content, very real, very raw. The family abuse, in the sense that here is someone who was quote unquote a friend, that violates someone you love. It's just just really powerful on a lot of different levels. What caused you to kind of express yourself in this way? Because again, this is a true story.
This is a true story, yes.
And so not everybody is going to put their stuff out there like, hey, this is me. Why did you do that?
I don't know. No, I really thought in the midst of it that, what am I really doing? But I'll tell you, initially, the purpose that I was trying to get people to understand why I write the way I write, because my writing is classified as deep. It's very introspective, but I just want them to get to know me. I used the poem, I didn't know how far it was going to go, but I started writing, and it was what I thought I had gotten over. It came up so fresh that I stopped writing for 3 months. Yeah. And my husband says, you gotta You got to push through. You got to do it. You got to sit there and go through it. And I wrote it, and I was scared because it was very transparent. It talked about the molestation that I experienced when I was young, which punctuated a lot of the other bad decisions that I made in life because I felt devalued at that time. So when you're devalued, every decision is based on what you think of yourself, right?
Yeah.
So when I put the play out, I didn't want it to, I don't like when we watch things and they curtail it, especially in theater. It's kind of, you're left with a thought, you're left to think and assume. I wanted every single detail out there because I wanted people not to see it as entertainment. I'm not doing this to entertain. I wanted them to experience it. So they experienced it because a lot of the audience came back and they were in tears when they talked to me, and they said, and it broke me down because I didn't realize how much people I had helped just by doing this.
Right.
And it was so powerful. Even the executive director at one of the theaters said, can you just tone down this part right here because it's a little bit uncomfortable. And I said, good. I said, that's exactly what I want. I don't want people to be comfortable when they're watching because that goes back, they're not a part of it. When you experience something, you can jump in it and say, oh my gosh, I didn't understand domestic abuse was like that. I didn't understand that molestation could affect somebody's mind like that. I didn't understand that you'd have to have so much hurdles to come to realization. And the fact is, there's no period. Every day I'm still healing. Every day I'm still healing. So the purpose of the play, I thought, was more for them, but it really helped me. It really did help me.
That's great. You said something. You said you're okay with the content that makes people examine themselves. And because if you don't examine yourself, you can live a life on default.
Right.
Yeah, explain that.
Well, I think we can get complacent and desensitized to what's around us and then it becomes our norm. But total example of that is COVID-19. We were so comfortable with a lifestyle of living that we didn't realize what it was without these items. Right. So this is what Endless Voice Productions forces to do with its events, and not just plays, of the other events that I put on through the year, is to make people question their default position on matters where they would have just played neutral, not even have a thought, just move through life thinking, and because I'm okay, that's okay, and not worried about somebody else.
No, that's beautiful, because I believe that that's what God has caused us to do. I mean, he's created us all unique, right? But if we walk through life just like robots, we're not really tapping into that uniqueness, that the thing that God created you special for.
Absolutely.
And so that's great that you continue to call on that. There's another statement you made. You said, external forces do not dictate my life. I'm living proof of the power of God's grace.
Amen. Oh my gosh. Yes. I am living proof, and I have to smile because I know what I've been through. Mm-hmm. I know that my parents and my grandparents thought I was possessed, but they really did. They performed ceremonies on me because they thought there was a devil living inside of me. So when I say external forces, every circumstance that happened to me did not dictate the ending of my life, right? I'm the total antithesis of what my life should be like. I shouldn't be alive. I drugged, I drank, I attempted suicide, the domestic violence, the molestation, and I'm still here. And I'm serving a purpose that God has called me to do. And I'm not finished yet. And it makes some people uncomfortable. How can you put your life out there like that? Well, vulnerability is the new courage, right? And I don't want to have to think about what I'm doing or saying. And that's why I say, ask me anything. Because when you speak from your life experiences, the truth, exist on its own.
No, Cheryl was talking about, I mean, in preparation of this interview, I said, what kind of was going over different questions, and she, she's like, hey, ask me anything. And so, no, I appreciate that. It's so important to have that. But what would you tell young people that are, or any person kind of dealing with domestic violence or dealing with a really troublesome situation? What would you tell them, with the situation? I mean, because I would think that in the midst of it, it seems like the world is kind of crumbling.
Right. So I think that, and that's a really good insightful question, because a lot of people think that you need to get them out of the situation. You need to tell them to leave. You need to be a support. That's the first thing. My friends that were around me are no longer around me because they thought, I was stupid. I didn't understand. Why am I staying in this? Why am I subjecting myself to this? But there's a psychology to this. It's not just about not wanting to leave. If you have to, there's safety concerns. The times that most people are killed are when they're probably trying to leave the home. So you have to have a plan of action for your friend. But I say mostly be an ear of support, because if you know that somebody is there supporting you when you're ready to make that move, you're more amped to reach out to that person. But when somebody's cutting you down in your home, your spouse or your boyfriend, and then you go out to your friends and they're telling you the same thing, you stay with what you know, right? So you stay with what you know, because you're not going to come out here to your friends and they're telling you, okay, well, that guy's a loser. You should. But there's love involved too. It's a love and hate. There's a thin line. But I think more my dependency was on him. I thought that hitting was a form of love, and that was warped. The only reason I was able to leave was not because of my friends, was because the laws changed at that time. The laws changed in 1985, when if a police officer sees you abused, he can go ahead and charge the assailant. But because I used to call, police come, no, he didn't hit me. No, there's no problem. And then the door would close and we just continue. So now it was the law that saved my life, not my friends. So as long as you can provide your friend, your spouse, your friends with some level of guidance, have a plan for them. If you're ready to leave, just know all you have to do is, just text me 134 or something, and it means that I'll meet you at this corner. Have a plan of action, but just don't say you gotta leave. You can't. How do you subject yourself to that? It's a psychology.
Tell us about some of the advocacy that you're doing for domestic violence and domestic violence awareness.
Well, most of the I've been talking to I've partnered with my sister's place in White Plains, and they featured my story, and I've talked to a few women that have come through there to assist them, like one-on-ones, because you have to have permission from the agency to do so, because it's so because of security concerns.
Sure.
And then I've talked to small women groups in the area. I haven't branched out to the schools as I should, but and I've had fundraisers for domestic violence, and I try and get monies. We do care baskets for them where they can have their necessities, and I just deliver them to my sister's place. So there's every little movement or anything that I say, I advocate a lot on my social media, on my Instagram page. So that's my platform. My extended footprint is when I get agencies and women's groups that ask me to speak.
Sheryl, it seems like you have 24 and a half hours each day.
Right.
Oh my goodness, you're doing so much. Tell us about some of the stuff that you're doing.
Well, right now I just started the Biz Circle Hub. It's to help because of the COVID, I wanted to help other businesses connect and be support to each other. So it's a business resource hub. I'm doing that. I'm finishing my Wounded Soul book, which is due out in August. I'm doing a daily devotional called the Morning Java, which are just inspirational, which will probably be out in September. I just finished a newsletter that's going out today. And the Wounded Soul is in film development with a release expected for 2021. Losing My Religion. We had a circuit that we were going to do with some of the churches, but before COVID hit, we had to put that on hold. So we're going to try and find a way to propel that forward still. So I'm always doing something. I have a purpose here, and I said it's not about finding balance for me. It's about setting priorities. A priority in our home is God first, then our relationship, and then everything else falls. Everything else is that. So it's Derek and me have a lot of time together, and my friends. We have very not less contact, but they understand what we're doing. Well, maybe they don't, but they have to understand because these are the perimeters that we put around our household. Got it.
I mean, you're so prolific, and you have so much that I want to talk to you about. I want to ask you another question. Will you come back on the show, please?
Sure, I would. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, because I want to get into music. We didn't even talk about music. We didn't talk about your music experiences and and your inspirations. And so there's so much I want to talk to you about. But right now, I just want to wish you well and the family well. I just. I guess, you've given a lot of good insight as far as how do people, address where they're at, how do they deal with where they're at, some of the things that you actually are working on, very important. And I guess, and also some of the things that we should look out for. I would love to have you back on to talk about, your books, whichever book comes out first,
sure.
You know what I mean? To have you back on to talk about your book and that sort of thing. And then also link up with you. Just know that I'm a resource as well, if need be. Okay.
Absolutely. I will be reaching out to you and hone in on your talents, because I think when you collaborate with like minds, that you can do so many things. So I really do appreciate you thinking of me and having me on here. It's an honor, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. Awesome. Well, have a wonderful weekend, and happy Mother's Day. Thank you. All right. All the best. Yes, you too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Hey. Informs, uplifts, and elevates, and inspires, takes you higher.